Hi everyone, this is Banika Ahuja. I am a psychologist. I work with young adults and adolescents as well. And along with that, I am the founder of Be Neurofit, where I work for the mental health care and cognitive health of our senior citizens. I thank Girl Up Inara for inviting me for this interview on mental health care, and I'm really excited for it, so let's get started. What does mental health mean to me, right? Mental health to me means that I acknowledge and I accept and I'm fully aware that my brain is a part of my body, that it is not separate from my body. It is to know and to accept that the different feelings, thoughts, experiences, perceptions, judgments, all of these have a neurological basis and they're a part of who I am. It is the awareness that my mind and my body go in sync. That if I just take care of my body and I ignore my mind, I'm not truly taking care of my health. So mental health for me is all of this. It's an ongoing journey. It's an ongoing process where I recognize that my brain needs to be taken care of as well. And yeah, that's mental health for me. So this is a very important question. The problem in India is that even though the Mental Health Act recently suggested that the insurance policies should entail mental health care in them as well, yet we don't have many of these policies following that suggestion. I think we have a long way to go over here to be able to implement mental health care and include in the umbrella of insurance policies in India. So there are two things that we can do over here. Number one would be what can the individuals do who need the help, and number two can be what's missing. In terms of what the individuals can do who wish to get mental health facilities but are unable to afford it, I think for them to be able to find and research organizations, different NGOs which provide mental health funding or mental health support, that would be the first step. Maybe you have a senior mentor or a senior who would be able to provide you and support you in that process as well. That could be one option. But over here we have to be very careful about which organization we are approaching, read the reviews very well, maybe share some experiences, talk to somebody who's been a part of it, to be fully aware of what we're stepping into. So that is one way, of course. In terms of what's missing, I think that's the question that I have often thought of, honestly. I think at a policy level, there is a limitation because of which we're unable to cater to the mental health needs of people, and that is why the common man is suffering. So I think that it's important that as mental health professionals, as people in this field who are wanting to push it ahead to make it reach the grassroots levels of India, that we work at the policy level part of it, of how we can make mental health care inclusive for people all over India, make it accessible, make it affordable. Unless we have this policy level intervention happening, I think it would be difficult for every citizen of India to be able to get that access equally. So I think it's both these areas that we need to work on. Well, so to be very honest, of course, we're all human beings at the end of the day, and when people share their experiences, their traumas, their stories, it does have an impact on you. But I think the part of a journey of a psychologist, of a mental health practitioner, is that we learn to build this skill called empathy. It's like if this is the psychologist and this is our skill of empathy, like a protection bubble around us. It's almost like with this bubble, we are able to get the power, we have the power to understand what the other person is saying, to be able to really be sensitive to them, think from their perspective and work ahead from there. At the same time, we're not being sympathetic, we're not being pitiful, we're not taking those those emotions and those feelings and burdening ourselves and taking them home. We're not doing that. We're keeping it in the professional space. I think that as psychologists it's very important for us to build this bubble, which happens with going for therapy yourself, going for trainings, going for self-work processes, practicing daily on your own. That is an important, essential part of a psychologist's journey. And we're all human beings. Sometimes it is possible that the stories and the experiences that the client is sharing, maybe one or two of them will go through that bubble and hit us in certain places. So as psychologists, it's important for us to recognize that, hey, this is impacting me right now, to take responsibility and ownership of that and go back and work on it. Work on where that is coming from and how you can take that dart out and cover that bubble up again and make it nice and strong and healthy for you. So it's an ongoing process for us, and that is a part of our journey. And I think that's one of the most beautiful parts of being a mental health practitioner, I think, to work on yourself and to help yourself in your mental health as well as others. Yes, you're right. There is not a lot of awareness about this. But at the same time, I think that with time, the awareness is definitely increasing, at least in the younger generation, in certain parts of the population. The one way that I feel that we can really normalize mental health care in India would be to include it in the curriculum right from the start at a school level. So in the education institutions in India, right from nursery, we have a mental health class, just like we have PT classes. For our physical health, we have a mental health class. And we learn the importance of self-reflection, of growth, of emotional resilience and management, being sensitive to one another. I think once we learn these things from our teachers, from our mentors at an educational level, it becomes very normalized for us to go back home, talk to our parents about it. That'd be very interesting. And think about it, when you're playing, let's say, basketball in your school and you fall and you have a sprain, you go straight to a doctor. The same way, if you're in a mental health care class in school and something comes out that you feel that, okay, this is really, really hurtful and it's painful for me and I want to work on this, you go to a psychologist. So it's a safe space for that to come out, and I think only by initiating dialogues regularly, by accepting our own feelings and emotions and being able to talk about them, I think through this dialogue as well, mental health would become more accepted in our society in India. I think there's no one particular time frame, to be very honest. Different people have different experiences, different backgrounds, the medical history that they have, the challenges they're facing, the diagnosis, the medication. There are so many facets to be taken into consideration before being able to understand what the possible time frame could be for the improvement for a particular client. It may be 3 sessions for somebody, it may be 4 months for someone, and it may go on to maybe 1 or 2 years for somebody. It really depends, because we're dealing with human beings, we're dealing with emotions, we're dealing with their thoughts, and all of these part of us, they change, they evolve with time, with different experiences, they keep growing, they keep expanding. So we never really know what's going to happen. It's an ongoing process which requires support, and the time frame may vary according to different areas of a person's life. And in terms of how I understand that there is an improvement happening, I think for me the initial insight of there's an improvement happening here is a person's body language. It is when they were first maybe be sitting in the session like this with droopy shoulders. Maybe now they're sitting with more erect shoulders, with more confident body stance. It could be the voice modulation. Somebody may be talking in a very soft and slow tone, but with time now they're able to higher up their volume of talking, and they're able to be more have more clarity in their conversation as well. It is the eye contact that a person is making, the ability to communicate, to verbalize the experiences. So I think for me, it's a lot of these subtle non-verbal gestures that really give me the insight that there's an improvement happening here. And yeah, that's what.